everyone. Stuart, why are you looking at me in shock? Did you not think I was going to begin? Well, I want to welcome all of you, and I want to tell you that the first reading ever hosted by the Rehoboth Beach Writers Guild occurred in February 2006, which means that tonight marks our 8th anniversary of doing these events. We are still here, and I am still here, because month after month, there are talented readers, both professional and published writers, and people who are reading their work for the first time, who are spending their time and volunteering their time to share with us their writing. And we are here because month after month, we have fabulous musicians who are spending their time and their energy practicing their pieces so that they can perform for us. And we are still here because month after month, we have a fantastic, supportive audience. So thank you. If somebody sees a waiter, if we could get the music turned off up here. Great, thank you. The fact that you are here is the most important way that you can show your support, because if you weren't here, what are we doing this for? But equally, no, not equally, almost important, I'm sorry, I have to do it, is that orange bucket. Your financial support, a $5 donation on your way out the door at the end of the night, gives us the opportunity to continue spending the time and energy to make these events as good as they can possibly be. As you know, the format of the readings have changed a number of times, and no doubt they will continue to change. But for now, the format that we are having a lot of fun with is this pairing of songs and stories, whereby our house musicians give us a list of song titles, which the readers have to somehow use or incorporate into their 300-word pieces of writing. Starting in April, we're going to be bringing in some guest musicians to work with us. But for now, for tonight, we have our musicians, Victor and Scotty, and Amy and Stuart. And speaking of anniversaries, tonight marks the 5th year of performing for the Writers Guild for Amy and Stuart. And so we're going to begin. I will read the song title, the name of the two readers, and then you'll get to hear the song performed. So the first song is Special Rider by Skip James, and the readers will be Steve Robeson and Mike O'Neill.
Good evening. What am I without you? 6 months ago, one was enough. I was comfortable in my solitude, but life has changed now. I am changed. I am changed in the possibility and the reality of you. What am I without you? I am the moon without the pull of earth, careening recklessly through empty, dark space. I am the silent morning songbird. I am the blues guitar tuned, ready, but unplayed. I am complete, but empty, filled in winsome void. I am a rowboat adrift or an endless sea. For what is love without love's lover? The flower gone to seed. Time ticks mercilessly on, the train's hypnotizing drum on uneven tracks, entering the dark tunnel. Light fades, blackness overtakes. I listened to some old Mississippi blues this morning, Sunhouse, Skip James, Death Letter, Special Rider. Music lost for decades, rediscovered. Grief, loss, sadness, deified. I woke up this morning, looked at the special rising sun. Now I pray up to thee, good Lord, that my special rider should come. Every chord is sweet longing, no solace in the words. Every morning the sun wakes me, I rise. I drink in dark brewed coffee. My prayers go unanswered, but the sun still shines. What is it about that dark coffee that reminds me of you? The song continues. You know, I got me a letter, and how do you reckon it read? You better hurry up and come home, because your special rider, she's dead. I smile at the postman as he passes my house. 3 days, no letter, no words, only silence from you. And I wonder if death would be better than silence, if life without your touch was anything at all.
It's tough to follow. Raise this thing. Can you hear me okay back here? Yeah, I was going to read last month, but I got sick. I was going to do Alison Krause's When You Say Nothing at All. But fortunately, Mary Beth suggested I could make some small changes and fit this thing here. But I told her I probably wouldn't say this, but I did. She offered to review it for me, and I sent her my script. And she came back and said, it's actually good the way it is. You only need a few small changes. Take a few things out, and everything will be all right. So I read through it and said, okay, that makes sense. Okay, yeah, I can do that. It's 3 lines. When I finished, I realized how smart Mary Beth is. I did a word count. And guess how many words the new revised edition was? Exactly 300 words. Yes. Smart girl, Mary Beth. In the song, Skip James prays for his special rider on the train of life who has passed on. He sings, got no special rider here. Now I ain't got nobody to love and feel my care. Unlike Skip, I do have a special rider to love and feel my care. And I want to give thanks for my special rider, that being my partner, soulmate, and spouse, Sally. My life was meaningless before I met you. I was on the path to destruction, and you saved me. You are my special rider and the world to me. I can't imagine life without you. Thanks for being you and sharing that great smile with me. Thank you for touching me for no special reason other than to let me know you love me. Waking up next to you makes me want to start another day on our ride through life. When we're out in public with you by my side, I'm the proudest man alive. When I'm asked how I got you, I say it's my charm. But whatever the reason, I know how special you are and how lucky I am. When we're apart, I'm like a child lost in the woods. I have no direction and anxiously await the return of my compass to lead me back to that train. Thank you for being there and taking care of me these past few years during my illnesses. I know you will always be there for me. I pray that my special rider will always be by my side as we continue this train ride through life. I love you.
Skip James tune. It's pretty close to the tradition, but it can be taken a lot of ways. I'm going to step up to the plate. I mean, you ain't looking, you got no special, whether you're a family, and you're not looking for one to do it. Because yeah, you all can figure it out. It's like I'm not expecting a special rider will make my life any worse or any better. It is what it is. Thought I'd squirrel in there.
I saw that too.
Special rider. Hey. think I know a special woman. No special rider, just a woman anywhere. I might be wrong, but Lord, I might be right someday. Yeah, I might be wrong, but Lord, I might be right someday. To San Francisco. I wake up some morning, look up at the special rising sun. I wake up some morning, look up at the special rising sun. You might ask the Lord for some special rising sun.
Our next song is Return to Sender by Elvis Presley, and our readers are Joanne Sinsheimer and Stephen Gibbons, but I don't think Stephen is here. So Joanne, this is all you. But just, we're gonna take our time while they sing. Are you ready?
I guess so. Wing it.
All right, Joanne, I don't have to babble or do banter or...
Read slowly, then you might show up.
Joanne Sinsheimer.
In 1956, when I was 8 years old, our neighbor, Mrs. Maiden, gives me news. If Adlai Stevenson, the Democratic candidate, becomes president, he will integrate the schools. This is in Richmond, and I will have to carry a knife. I am shocked, but no, this information should not be passed on. I think of how upset my mother would be. I learned 56 years later that Sarah Barnett has coined the term, a name, Sadie, for all the Mrs. Maidens. As Sarah says, Sadies just keep popping up. But there are also opposites. Within 2 years of Mrs. Maiden's announcement, Dean McDonald was born in Washington, D.C. At a memorial service 11 days ago for Dean, a neighbor of ours who was black, who died from pancreatic cancer at 55. His best friend, Michael, a white guy, spoke of being Dean's friend for 45 years. Michael said at age 10 he was a small boy whom Dean picked as his favorite receiver during neighborhood football games. After the funeral and lunch, there was a slideshow with pictures of Dean through the years with his family and friends, with music from each time period. We saw these people, the same people, black and white, at home, and playing in the park and beach over a 45-year span. There were no Sadies in these pictures. Although I did not cry at the funeral, these pictures made my tears flow. I cried because Dean and his friends chose to be together for both big and small occasions for 45 years, and when new friends and spouses were added, it was for life. I think of all the people to whom Mrs. Maiden could not open her heart, and I think about my own prejudices and limitations. How have they affected those who wanted to be my friends but were ignored, and friends who have been lost through neglect? And I wonder whether I will ever become wiser.
Talk amongst yourselves, pick your topic.
How about it? What do you think? Guitar good?
Hi. That's all you get. Kidding.
I give it up in November.
We used to do Elvis songs back when I could sing more like Elvis, but I can't sing like Elvis anymore.
You look like Elvis.
Right, that's a dead ringer. Hard to tell us apart, guys.
It was the hair.
This is one of those songs where when we practice it, we never get the beginning right. It repeats itself 3 times. You'd think we'd get 3 chances. So we're going to try to get it right tonight.
Return to sender. Return to sender. Return to sender. Gave a letter to the postman, put it in his sack. Bright and early next morning, he brought my letter back.
She wrote about it.
Return to sender, address unknown, no such number, no such zone. We had a quarrel, a lover's spat. I write, I'm sorry, but my letter keeps coming back. So I put it in the mailbox, send it specialty. Bright and early next morning, came right back to me.
She wrote upon it.
Return to sender, address unknown, no such number, no such song. We had a quarrel, a lover's spat. I write, I'm sorry, but my letter keeps coming back. This time I'm gonna take it myself, put it right in her hand. And if it comes back the very next day, then I'll understand.
Writing on it.
Return to sender, address unknown, no such number, no such song. We had a quarrel, a lover's spat. I write, I'm sorry, but my letter keeps coming back. Return to sender, return to sender, return to sender.
is You Can Sleep While I Drive, Melissa Etheridge. And our readers are Deb Griffin, and back after a long absence, Kelsey Dugan. So Deb.
Dear Melissa Etheridge, in your song, You Can Sleep While I Drive, there's a line that says, you've been looking for something that's not in your life. What does that mean? I have to tell you, that sentence is driving me crazy. Does the person even know what they're looking for? You weren't clear. How are they supposed to find something if they don't know what it is? You've been looking for something that's not in your life. Ooh, wait. Maybe it was something you once had, like a really great kiss. Oh yeah, you know the kind, the one that reminds you where all your nerve endings are. Makes your body heat up like a good shot of whiskey. The kind that makes you blush even thinking about it. Is that it? You've been looking for something that's not in your life. Maybe you're talking about pushing the limits of what you think you can do, like putting yourself out there more than you're comfortable with, or pushing yourself physically to go further than you've ever been, and you think you can't, but you can, and you did. And when you were tired, it was a really good tired. You've been looking for something that's not in your life. Oh, I know. What about something you once were so passionate about you couldn't wait to get out of bed? Like the best job you ever had, or the class where the teacher was so great you felt better just by showing up? Or when you volunteered and knew every moment that you were making a difference in someone's life. As you can see, I clearly have no idea what this lyric is about. I would appreciate a response at your earliest convenience. Sincerely.
During the trip to my grandfather's in Florida, I knew damn well never to ask my dad the iconic question, "Are we there yet?" It was more productive to ask where we were on the map. From my nest of blankets in the backseat of the pickup, I would study the atlas, following our path down the blue line with my finger, trying to figure out how much longer we had. For this new journey, I'm the driver and have no atlas. In truth, I don't know how much longer we have left. I've been too afraid to ask that question. So every moment has become sacred. I try to memorize every facial expression, story, and odd way about him that he has. But it's a funny thing, brain surgery. My toughest cough and nails father woke up a dying old man, scared of the dark. And it almost seems like some of them didn't quite wake up. They stayed asleep, afraid of the road ahead. His lung is in stage 4, from years of smoking Cowboy Killing Marlboro Reds. And the whole kidney's gotta go, but you can live without a kidney. The surgeon with little to no social skills got most of the brain tumor. They zapped the rest with radiation. It's hard to believe that it's only been 45 days since we found out. I'm hoping this is a long trip, one with bumps that aren't too big, and good news every now and then. I'm gonna get lost and tired, and I'm already pissed at the world and whatever higher being there is. But I will drive safe, and I will keep going. So Dad, you can sleep while I drive.
That's precisely the mood you need to sing the song, and I am crying, and that was really good. out of this town. Got a full tank of gas with the top rolled down. There's a chill in my bones. I don't wanna be left alone. Baby, you can sleep while I drive. I'll pack my bag and load up my guitar. In my pocket, I'll carry my heart. I got some money I saved, enough to get underway. Baby, you can sleep while I drive. We'll go through Tucson, up to Santa Fe. Barbara in Nashville says we're welcome to stay. I'll buy you a boots down in Texas, a hat in New Orleans. In the morning you can tell me your dreams. You know I've seen it before, that mist that covers your eyes. You've been looking for something that's not in your life. My intentions are true, won't you take me with you? Baby, you can sleep while I drive. Get that with me. Come on, baby, let's get out of this town. Got a full tank of gas with the top rolled down. If you won't take me with you, I'll go before night is through. Baby, you can sleep while I drive.
So the next song is Angel from Montgomery by John Prine, and our readers are Tom Hoyer and Paul Dyer.
No, this isn't about my willpower. That would make you cry. My parents had as auspicious a start as you can have. They both managed to go to college. Dad came back from overseas a captain. He was an athlete and a coach. Mom, the epitome of a 1940s girl. She accepted responsibility for the home, Dad for bringing home the bacon. Neither of them had a clue. They had 7 children between 1946 and 1960. Mom stayed home with them. After a long day of hanging rows of cloth diapers like pennons on a ship's rigging, making meals from scratch, as they called it, tending the current toddler and the teenagers, she wanted to talk to an adult about books, about ideas, about the news. It was the farthest thing from Dad's mind. Dad taught high school, and he coached swimming, officiated other sports, taught night school, caught every other kind of part-time and seasonal job he could manage in order to pay the mortgage and buy groceries. He likely had attention deficit disorder because keeping himself on track required an extraordinary expenditure of willpower and nervous energy. When he got home, he'd been talking to adults all day long. He wanted to nap and then supper, and later, when he could afford a regular relationship with Carlo Rossi, a few jelly glasses of wine. I had Mom's interest in literature and philosophy, and for a brief half-dozen years in the late 60s, was able, though I was unaware of it, to give her the conversation she was starving for. Then I grew up and left her alone again. I can almost hear her saying, "How the hell can a person go to work in the morning and come home in the evening and have nothing to say?" In 1980, my sister Judy produced a child and discarded a husband. Mom and Dad stepped in with help. And one day, Dad got it. He said to me, "Helping Judy out with just one child requires so much work. I can't imagine how hard it was for your mother to raise all of you with no help from me." It changed him. 34 years of marriage, and Mom finally got what she needed from her husband, an adult companion with both the time and energy to talk and pay attention to her.
You hear me? It's just a little bit of a setup. This is from a book I'm working on. It's lots of names: Sheets, Buzz, the Kid, Bubbles, and they're continuing characters from the last book. Egg, the narrator, is a young woman that has had a run-in with a persistent religious fellow and is now sitting with her boyfriend Joe in a hot tub on the top of his boat in Dewey. So what about it, Joe? I leaned into him and stared into the black sky, locating Venus, Mars, and some constellations. With the moon down, the stars all seemed brighter. "We still discussing the God thing?" he asked. "Yeah." The silence gathered around us, broken only by the groaning of the boat's ropes against the pilings, and I thought Joe had fallen asleep. He finally raised a hand towards Orion. "What's that?" he asked. "Those 3 stars in a row." "Orion's belt," I said. "Mintaka, Analam, Anatak." "Okay," he continued. "An astronomer would tell you that with billions of stars, it was inevitable that somewhere 3 would align in a perfect row. But I like to think that maybe those 3 are there night after night just for our pleasure, and that something is responsible. A small miracle. Like all the other perfect things around here. The bufflehead ducks in winter. The onshore breeze that starts exactly when you need it on a hot day. Religions can't get their head around the concept of the small miracle. Say there's a guy going around spreading a simple message of love. Churches can't leave that alone. The guy's going to have to learn to walk on water and come back from the dead. They want the big production and overlook the best things happening right under their noses. The churches in Rehoboth are 1 block from the beach. They invite people to sit in the dark and turn their backs on the greatest spectacle there is. I just can't get behind sitting indoors with the wafers and grape juice while dolphins are playing in the surf. Sheets accidentally winds up here 7 years ago. I come a year later. We meet Buzz. Bubbles comes. The Kid. Against all odds, you run aground here too. No one's ever shown up here that hasn't felt like a missing piece of a puzzle. I said accidentally, but sometimes I think that what happened here isn't. If it is, that's okay too, because everything I need to believe in is here. The stars, the ocean, the boats, the towns, the music, you. Small miracles. Joe paused for a moment, then spoke softly. But it's also nice to believe that there's something out there. An unwrathful God, a laid-back God, who decided to put this show together, then sat back to see who would enjoy it most. I'd like to think it's us.
Did I tell the John Prine story about the little blue speckled pills? Some years ago, I used to play music with a friend of mine. We got booked, so we did the opening act for John Prine. And on this first time we played, when we were out there at a sound check about 5 o'clock in the evening, pretty big auditorium, maybe 5,000-6,000 people. So we're doing a sound check 5 o'clock, and John shows up to do the sound check. He couldn't stand up. I mean, 2 guys hold him up. He went up to do the sound check, went, "Oh," and then they carried him off. That was it. So my friend Pete and I said, "We got this nailed, man. We're going to sound like $1 million, and he's going to sound like shit." So waiting for the concert, we were ready. So comes time for the concert. Pete and I had these matching outfits. We wore white outfits with electric yellow neckties, matching black guitars. We were looking pretty hot. Certainly compared to the way John looked a couple hours earlier. So one of the things we did, I was dating a nurse at the time, and she'd given me these little blue speckled pills with the admonition that I should not take a whole one. Which, of course, I did, and gave another whole one to Pete. having swallowed the blue speckled pills and a half a beer, we always said a little prayer before we went on stage. Thank the big guy for the opportunity, to get ahead in the music business. So we're sitting there praying, and Pete whispers to me, says, "Check your pulse." I said, "I'm praying, Pete." He said, "Check your pulse." I checked my pulse, like 182 at rest. So the little blue speckled pills were these called combat pills. Speed is what it's otherwise called. So anyway, we were up there performing, and a couple minutes later, John shows up, and I don't know what kind of dope he had on the bus, but he looked like a choir boy by 8 o'clock. I mean, he was clear-skinned and bright-eyed, and and he looked fabulous. The tables got turned on us. Anyway, we recorded the concert for an album, and we were kind of hoping we'd be on it, since we were the opening act, but those little blue speckled pills, we sped things up a little, and it sounded a little bit like the Chipmunks. It's not our best performance, though. We got through it in a hurry. Anyway, so here's the John Browns.
Named after my mother. No man is another. Child is grown old. If dreams were thunder, lightning was desire, this old house would have burned down a long time ago. Make me an angel that flies from Montgomery. Make me a poster of an old rodeo. Just give me one thing I can hold on to. To believe in this living is just a hard way to go. When I was a young girl, I had me a cowboy. Wasn't much to look at. He was a free-riding man. It took a long time, no matter how I tried. The years, they just blow by like a broken down dam. Make me an angel flies from Montgomery. Make me a poster of an old rodeo. Just give me one thing that I can hold on to. To believe in this living is just a hard way to go.
There's flies in the kitchen, I can hear them buzzing. I ain't done nothing since I woke up today.
How the hell can a person go to work in the morning, come home in the evening, and have
nothing to say?
Make me an angel that flies from Montgomery. Make me a poster of an old rodeo. Just give me one thing that I can hold on to. To believe in this living is just a hard way to go.
Make me an angel that flies from Montgomery. Make me a poster of an old rodeo. Just give me one thing that I can hold on to. To believe in this living is just a hard way to go.
To believe in this living is just a
Hard way to go.
So don't you think after 5 years they need to do a CD? No blue spectacles, though. Our final song for the night is Come a Little Bit Closer by Jay and the Americans, and our readers are Sabatino Maglione and Sarah Barnett.
Buonasera. I have a short story of 300 words, which has nothing to do with the song. The title is Come a Little Bit Closer, A Voice in the Darkness. One cold, raining, windy, dark evening in November, a serene man was returning to his isolated country home after a long day at work. The rising mist from the surface, the clouds brimming with rainwater, accentuated the darkness of the evening and added to it an air of inexplicable mystery. Fighting against the wind and the rain under his poncho, the man heard the unceasing crying of an infant and a voice saying, "Come a little bit closer, come a little bit closer." When he stopped to ascertain its provenance, the crying and the voice faded away into silence. After several minutes, he heard the same crying and the same voice crying out, "Come a little bit closer, come a little bit closer." Again the voice and the crying stopped when he ceased to walk. Finally, when the man was near his home, under the edge on the left side of the muddied road, he saw the author of that excruciating crying, a baby in swaddling clothes. Are you still with me? Moved by wonderment and pity, he picked up the baby, folded him in his arms, and protected him from the rain with his poncho. He looked around to see where his mother was, but saw no sight of her. In a moment of anger and sorrow, he heard himself saying, "How can a mother be so cruel?" The child, meantime, was both crying and yelling at the top of his voice. "Don't cry, baby. Don't cry. We have arrived home. You will soon have some delicious warm milk." As soon as the man had uttered those words, he heard the baby say to him in a coarse and diabolic voice, "Hey man, come a little bit closer and read my lips. I don't drink milk. I only eat raw human flesh. See how sharp my teeth are? And after tearing a piece of flesh off the man's face, the baby disappeared in a flash of fire. The poor man entered his home breathing profusely, with his eyes transfixed in a labyrinth of fear and confusion. His wife saw him change into a decrepit old man before her very eyes. He heard his wife saying, honey, wake up. It's time to go to work. You have a long walk awaiting you." The man opened his eyes, still in a state of stupor. As his wife was about to exit the room, he said to her, "Honey, come back here. Come a little bit closer and repeat what you just said," which she did. Dredged in a tsunami of cold sweat, he jumped out of bed and ran to look at himself in the mirror. A nervous smile sprang on his trembling lips.
This is called It's a Good Story, except for the ending. A Native American maiden and a prince live on opposite sides of a large, icy lake, somewhere in the dark north. By day, the young man pines for this woman, whom he's seen in person just once. By night, they sing love songs across the forbidding lake. One night, the prince, desperate to hold his true love in his arms, braves the frigid water. He swims, arms and legs thrashing, limbs growing colder and number. Halfway across, his heart just stops, and he sinks. The lovers live on. Each tribe tells and retells this tale in song and story. They rename the lake after this gallant deed. Lake Stupid. No one could tell this story like Rick. Children who first heard it around a beach campfire never forgot. Please tell the Lake Stupid story, they'd chorus whenever they saw him. Always he'd smile, pull the youngest onto his lap, plunge into the tale, laughter at the punchline spilling out as if no one had heard it before. Lake Stupid became the leitmotif of our family life, shorthand for all that went wrong in a 30-year marriage. An August vacation at Silver Lake in Vermont started it. The water temperature gave new meaning to go jump in the lake. The kids got sick, the car broke down, and Silver Lake was rechristened Lake Stupid. We trudged through graduate school and law school, grumbling about each Lake Stupid journey we were on. We laughed at the story, but we didn't heed its message. Lovers who swim against the current are in over their heads. Ask Romeo and Juliet, Scarlet and Rhett, Gatsby and Daisy. Relishing this anti-romantic tale of hearts trumping heads, we didn't see it coming, never noticed that while one of us was singing, "Come a Little Bit Closer," the other was humming, "Shut Up and Drive."
There's actually a song about it. An Indian brave called Running Bear swam across the lake to hook up with Little White Dove. Almost remember that's. I think Johnny Horton was it Johnny Horton? That's all I remember. This tune is, I always like this tune, I like Spanish stuff. Spanish-y kind of stuff. So, Amy's not wild about Spanish type stuff. So I do this kind of as a folk song, but I don't know how this ever made pop radio, but it did. In a little cafe, just the other side of the border, She was sitting there giving me looks, made my mouth water. So I started walking away. She belonged to that man Jose, and I knew, yes, I knew I should run. I heard her say, come a little bit closer, you're my kind of man. So big and so strong, come a little bit closer, I'm all alone, and the night is so long. Well, we started to dance in my arms, I held her so tightly, and I knew I could steal just one little kiss so excited. And I heard a guitar player say, that was Jose's on his way. And I knew, yes, I knew I should run. I heard her say, come a little bit closer, you're my kind of man. So big and so strong, come a little bit closer. I'm all alone, and the night is so long. Well, the music stopped. When I looked, the cafe was empty. And I heard Jose say, man, you know you're in trouble, baby. So I dropped my drink from my hand, and through the window I ran. And as I rolled away, I could hear him say to Jose, come a little bit closer, you're my kind of man. So big and so strong, come a little bit closer, I'm all alone, and the night is so long. Come a little bit closer, you're my kind of man. So big and so strong, come a little bit closer, I'm all alone, and the night is so long. La, 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 la.
Thank you all for coming out here on this February night. We will be back the third Tuesday in March, so please come back. Thank you.